Two Geeks, Two Beers podcast. Nerdy obsessions, drunken ramblings with Morgan Jeffrey and Tom Eames.
Hello, and welcome to Two Geeks, Two Beers. Like TV viewers in 1953 who, legend has it, vacated local pubs, leaving them deserted to rush home and catch the next installment of the Quatermass Experiment, we've temporarily downed our pints to bring you a new episode. I'm Morgan. Tom is just over there.
Hello.
And this unbegotten pair are about to bring something back from the archives. Tom, I'm talking about Quatermass.
Yes.
What have you got in the bank for this one?
Okay, so I feel like we're going up. I don't know, a bit more professional with this. I don't know, a bit more like proper with this one because I feel like I'll be honest. I've never watched any of the Quatermasses.
The Quatermass.
However, my dad.
Oh,
it's one of his favourite things.
Really?
And he's always
you've held this back from me until we started recording. I like this.
He's always banged on about Quatermass. In a way that it seemed too important for me to ever get round to. Right. So I've never really made the effort to actually watch it.
If I'm going to get into this, I got to devote real time and attention to it.
Yeah.
I don't have the time. Certainly don't have the attention.
And so I sort of know bits and pieces of it, but I've never actually stopped. I know there's lots of different versions of it and all that kind of thing. And it has a kind of War of the Worlds-esque
kind of
ish.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds.
It's less rock opera vibes.
Yeah. And we recently went to the premiere. We got invited to the premiere of Eddie Izzard in
Dr. Jekyll.
Dr. Jekyll.
Yeah. The new film from Hammer.
Yeah, thanks to Jamie Anderson.
Yeah. Thanks, Jamie.
Went to that, and in that they had a little video about the history of Hammer horror, and part of that included a bit about Quatermass. So I learned a little bit there. Yeah,
at that point, Tom knew that we were doing a Quatermass episode. So he sort of shot me a look. I was like, well, he knows more than he did 5 minutes ago.
So yeah, I know that I feel like it's a big deal, but it should be a bigger deal. If you know what I mean?
I think so. I feel like given how influential it was, and how it was very much the first of its kind in many ways. It feels like it should be more a part of the conversation than it is.
It's sort of a hidden gem.
Yeah. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I'm looking forward to being spoiled about the plot and everything else.
It's fine. You've had a drink. You'll forget.
Yeah.
But now I'm because before I was like, I can say anything. Tom doesn't know. It's fine. The bar's low.
Yeah.
Whereas now I'm like, well, Mr. Eames, what's your dad's name?
Keith. Yeah.
Keith might be tuning. It's like
he might actually listen to this.
Has never listened to this podcast before, but Keith might tune in and be like, well, I'll see what they've got. And now I'm
well, that's incorrect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Keith's gonna school me. Oh wow. Well, so there is a lot to learn.
Okay. Is this going to be like homework?
No, it's going to be fun.
Okay.
But this is a 10-pager. There's a lot to get through.
It's been worse.
So let's knuckle down.
Okay.
And we'll get through it together, all of us. But I felt like this was suitable. This episode is coming out around about Halloween.
Yeah, like a little bit of spooky vibe.
I felt like this was suitable.
Yeah. Okay.
So Quatermass. So Professor Bernard Quatermass is a heroic British scientist.
I already
didn't
know it was the name of a bloke.
Yeah.
I thought Quatermass was like the thing they found in the floor.
What?
I thought whatever it was. I don't know anything about it. I thought whatever it was.
What do you mean the thing they found in the floor?
I'm picturing a thing that lands to Earth. I'm probably still thinking of War of the Worlds.
In the floor.
But it said Quatermass on it and they called it that or something.
What is it? I don't know. It seems to have landed in the floor. That's what they say. Yeah. It landed
in the floor.
It landed in the floor.
Okay, well, I've learned.
Oh, you thought like it was... Oh, like...
a Quatermass.
Yeah.
They called it...
like a...
I thought whether it was called that or... I genuinely thought Quatermass meant that was a word.
It was a noun.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the thing I'm looking.
It landed in the floor and it left a Quatermass.
Yeah.
No.
No, it's just his name.
It's his name.
Oh, that's an amazing name.
It's a great name.
Yeah. Okay.
So Quatermass is not a hole in the floor.
Okay.
Quatermass is an aerospace engineer who leads the British Experimental Rocket Group, or Berg. I don't think it's ever actually called Berg. I just made that up.
Oh.
Pioneering the UK's space program and confronting alien forces that threaten humanity. So coming up, how a famous children's author played a part in an iconic piece of sci-fi television, the unusual reason one viewer had a Quatermass story spoiled for her, and the Doctor Who crossover that almost was. And if you're very good, there might be a fact smash or two, a Quater smash, if you will. So Nigel Kneale, who created the character, is well regarded in science fiction circles and beyond for his work on Quatermass, as well as other works, including a 1954 adaptation of George Orwell's 1984, starring Peter Cushing. I feel like we didn't...
Never seen it.
No, that's fine. It's from 1954. But I feel like we don't talk enough about Peter Cushing on this podcast.
No.
He's such a cult icon, but like...
Still not enough.
No, there's never enough. 1968 BBC drama, The Year of the Sex Olympics.
What's that?
The Year of the Sex Olympics. Actually, it's very kind of... So what it is, it's a drama about the elite of society. Yeah. It's set in the sort of not too distant future. It's about the elite of society and how they kind of brainwash the lower rungs of society with pornography, but also just sort of reality television. And it sort of invented reality television before reality television was a thing.
Okay.
It kind of... So Nigel Kneale kind of predicted the rise of reality TV, and yeah, he wasn't a fan.
Okay.
And 1972 horror The Stone Tape. Also, if you're a fan of cult television, you'll have heard of The Stone Tape, also from Nigel Kneale. Those who have cited him as an influence include Russell T Davies, Mark Gatiss, Stephen King, and John Carpenter, who recruited Kneale to write the third installment in the Halloween film series, Season of the Witch, though Kneale's name was removed from the final film as he was unhappy with changes made to the script. In 1953, Kneale was working as a staff writer at the BBC and was assigned to create a new 6-part serial to run on Saturday nights in July and August, creating the first science fiction production to be written especially for a British adult television audience. So there's a lot of caveats there, but it was essentially the first British sci-fi TV show for adults.
Okay.
Yeah.
So pre-Doctor Who.
About 10 years before Doctor Who. And
okay.
I mentioned Doctor Who earlier. We'll get onto like how profound an influence Quatermass had on Doctor Who, which is another reason why it should be talked about more. So Kneale initially named his leading character Professor Charlton. But a bit dull. He later decided he wanted a more striking and memorable name. A native of the Isle of Man, Kneale was inspired by the fact that surnames beginning with QU were common on the island, and he picked the character's unusual surname from a London telephone directory. So it's an actual name. It's not just make some shit up. It's like actual people called...
That's how Gary Newman did it as well. Just picked a name out of the Yellow Pages.
What, Newman?
Yeah.
What's his real name?
Gary Webb.
Yeah. But Newman's not that much sexier than Webb.
No. Quatermass.
Gary Quatermass would have been...
That's quite the pop star name.
That is. The first name, Bernard, was in honour of the astronomer Bernard Lovell, founder of the Jodrell Bank Observatory. And he is called Bernard, I would hasten to say. I feel like Bernard...
that's a sexy name.
But I don't think it's a real name. I feel like Bernard is just people called Bernard.
It's like Hyacinth Bouquet.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like it's people called Bernard who just don't want to wake up to reality. It's like you were christened Bernard.
It's like Roberto Di Matteo. It's a sexy name for a footballer.
Yeah.
Bob Matthews.
Yeah. I used to work in a pub. And there was a chef who worked in the kitchen, and he's a French chef, and his name was Guillaume Wallace, which translates to William Wallace. Yeah,
I mean that's a cool name as well.
Yeah, no, it's a great name, but it was just sounds great with Guillaume Wallace, and it's William Wallace, like Braveheart. So the first appearance of Bernard Quatermass was in The Quatermass Experiment, which ran for 6 episodes, transmitted weekly on Saturday nights between the 18th of July and the 22nd of August, 1953. And it was made for just £4,000 or slightly less. The opening theme, which is an absolute banger, is Mars, Bringer of War by Gustav Holst. Yes, Quatermass, yes.
I love that they didn't like go, should we try and think of our own theme? Now, fuck it, Holst.
Let's get a bit of Mars, Bringer of War. You know it's business time when you hear this.
One morning, 2 hours after dawn, the first manned rocket in the history of the world takes off from the Taruma Range, Australia. The 3 observers see on their scanning screens a quickly receding...
How do they make this?
Stock footage, I think, too.
Still.
But it is interesting that, you know, these are the very earliest days of television.
Yeah.
Stuff like this must have been so exciting at the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a picture right now. We're seeing essentially what, the Earth?
Yeah.
This is incredible.
Above the earth, and there learn what is to be learned. For an experiment is an operation designed to discover some unknown truth. It is also a risk. When it is 1,400 miles up, all contact with the rocket is suddenly lost.
That's proper television, isn't it?
That's proper telly, that is.
Yeah.
So the working titles for the production were The Unbegotten and Bring Something Back, the latter a line of dialogue spoken in the second episode. So set in the then near future, Quatermass Experiment tells the story of the first crewed flight into space, because of course at this point, that in itself was science fiction. No one had been into space before the moon landing.
I can't believe it's 1953. And that is... Yeah.
1953. It tells the story of the first crewed flight into space supervised by Quatermass. When the spaceship carrying the crew returns to Earth, 2 of the 3 astronauts are missing, and the third, Victor Caroon, is behaving strangely. It eventually becomes apparent that an alien presence entered the rocket during its flight, and Quatermass and his associates must prevent the alien from destroying the world.
There's nobody there. There's no sign of either of them.
What's that?
They're gone. They're gone.
What's going on? I don't see. Jeffrey! As a matter of interest, this happens to be news. What's the matter?
That's
The door got swept away?
I've checked all the instruments. That door hasn't been opened till now.
Victor, where are the others? Victor! What happened?
So the monster seen on screen in the Quatermass Experiment,
So you do see.
you do see it. Yeah, Caroon transforms into the monster.
Okay.
Actually consisted of gloves, rubber gloves, covered in various plant and other materials, prepared by Neil and his girlfriend and future wife, Judith Kerr, who went on to become a successful author, writing the Mog series,
Oh, of course.
The Tiger Who Came to Tea,
Wow.
and acclaimed novels for older children. So at the time, she was just his girlfriend, then became his wife, and then had a huge, incredibly successful career all of her own.
There you go.
The Quatermass Experiment was transmitted live from the BBC's original television studios
They had
at
balls, didn't they?
Alexandra Palace in North London.
Ali Pally.
Yeah, at Ali Pally. So each episode was rehearsed from Monday to Friday, then broadcast live on the Saturday. So you were saying, oh, this is great, really atmospheric, great stuff, done live. Imagine.
But like back then, I guess they didn't know anything else.
No, they didn't.
That was the only
It's
option.
how it was done.
Now, if you told them, like, if they were doing like a new episode of Luther, they were like,
Idris, you got to nail it in one take.
Like, what?
You feel like people had to be better actors back then because they couldn't.
Well, they had no other option. That was just the only way they did it.
Everything was like a play.
You might get onto this, but is this one where they've got all the episodes? Is it all intact?
I will get onto it.
Fuck.
It's not good news. It's not good news, especially
press record.
But this was live.
I don't care. Press record. I love the idea that back then they were just like, nah.
But there were no repeats.
I know.
There was no home media. What were they recording it for?
Why? No, just for prosperity. Just
for what?
I always get that word wrong. Posterity.
There we go.
Prosperity.
And you know they can make some money off it. So also for prosperity. Yeah. Apparently, Nigel New had not finished scripting the serial's final 2 episodes before the first episode was broadcast, so very much seat of his pants.
Okay.
No, so as you touched on, only 2 episodes of the 6 have survived. The other 4 having never even been recorded on their live broadcast. So
which ones is it?
The first 2.
So you never know how. Technically, you never know how it ends.
The script exists, and, which we will come back to. But something like Doctor Who, where the episodes were produced, they were recorded, and then they've been kind of lost to the mists of time, which I think is worse in a way. It was like you had it, and you literally threw it in the bin. With this, it went out into the ether and was just that was it. They were just like, well, it's a live broadcast.
Imagine if they didn't keep the scripts.
Yeah,
it's like I don't hit it.
Yeah,
just threw it away.
No one knows how it ended. Yeah, Nige, what happened? And actually, something like that did happen, which again we will get onto. So Quatermass was played by the actor Reginald Tate, who was actually second choice for the role, which had originally been offered to Andre Morell, who turned it down, and we'll come back to Mr. Morell later. Appearing in a small role as a drunk was Wilfred Bramble, who later became widely known for his role in the sitcom Steptoe and Son, of course.
Yeah.
The Quatermass Experiment was a ratings hit, with audience figures hitting 5 million for the final episode. Now, that doesn't sound like a huge number, by today's standards, but when you think how many people actually had a TV in 1953, that was a lot of people. Mm-hmm. So, the success of the Quatermass Experiment led to a sequel, Quatermass II. So, 2 years later, again, 6 episodes aired between the 22nd of October and the 26th of November, 1955. Again, rehearsed Monday to Friday, and again transmitted live, this time from Studio G at the BBC's Lime Grove Studios in London. Though this one, you'll be happy to hear, survives in its entirety in the BBC archives. This serial sees Bernard Quatermass being asked to examine strange meteorite showers. His investigations lead to his uncovering a conspiracy involving alien infiltration at the highest levels of the British government. Reginald Tate, who had played Quatermass previously, he died suddenly on the 23rd of August 1955, aged just 58, less than a month before filming on Quatermass II was due to begin.
So he was meant to come back.
I think, that was the intention, but he died shortly before filming. And that necessitated a last-minute recast, with John Robinson taking the part.
Is that it?
There's something there. It's about 6 inches down.
Here, perhaps you better let me.
No, I can do it.
There's some sort of alarm over there at that place.
Here.
It's just like the other one. I was right.
You take it. I want to get some measurements quickly. Well, there's some men coming out the gates. I hope they realize this is for their own benefit.
Look, it's starting to break up.
Can you smell it?
Yes.
Ammonia. Dylan, there's something on your face.
Fuck. We don't get to see what's on his face.
No. I'm glad that, because I picked that clip in particular because I was thinking, all right, what's the clip I'm going to show from Quatermass II?
Yeah.
And I watched Quatermass II for the first time probably about for like 5 years ago. So, and the one bit I remember is that bit where he's got something on his face.
So
what is
John Robinson the one looking at the man with the...
Yeah.
So his facial expression, he was just couldn't quite
horrified.
believe. Just like, got something on your face. And fuck. Like, he's frozen. He doesn't know what to do with himself.
Yeah. But I remember that moment being really like a little bit scary, even though it's TV from the olden days. But he's like, your face, man. There's something on your face. And it's like, oh God, what's on his face?
I had to wait a week.
You had to wait a week before you found out.
What was on his face?
Well, there's like a mark that the aliens leave on your face, and it sort of means you've been like infected. But I watched that clip back, preparing for this episode, and I was like, he sort of just goes, mate, there's something on your face. And I was like, oh, it doesn't. But I was like, oh, actually, it's not as dramatic as I remember. But no. Okay, good. I'm glad. Quatermass II also features a supporting role for Roger Delgado, who found fame in the 1970s as the Master, the original Master, the OG, in Doctor Who. Here playing a journalist who helps Quatermass. Quatermass II was commissioned specifically to help combat the BBC's new commercial rival, ITV. Don't know if you've heard of it, which launched a month before the serial's eventual broadcast. So the BBC was like, right, ITV's on the horizon. We got to, we need something big to bat them off. Quatermass Experiment had been a big hit, they were like, right, get a sequel to our biggest drama to combat ITV. Nigel Neal was inspired by contemporary fears over secret UK Ministry of Defence research establishments such as Porton Down, and also by being required as a BBC staff member to sign the Official Secrets Act. I don't know if that's
different time.
Still the case.
Yeah.
But,
look, if you're making Michael McIntyre's The Wheel, you have to sign an agreement.
Yeah.
You know, not commit treason.
Not just an NDA. The official Secrets Act is an official secret. Quatermass II was even more successful than the first, drawing audiences of up to 9 million viewers in 1955, and received mostly positive reviews. Though some felt it was not as strong as the first.
How do you know? You can't remember it. You didn't watch it back, did you?
No, at the time.
Yeah, but still. 2 years have passed. You haven't been able to watch it back. You're relying purely on memory.
You mean, Quatermass Experiment. That was good. It's like, how do you know?
How do you know?
Do you own it on DVD?
Didn't record it, did you?
What's DVD? Don't know. No, fair point. One letter received by the production team before the transmission of episode 5 came from a woman in Haverfordwest who was concerned that she would never find out what happened in the end, as the week before the final episode's transmission, she was due to move to Ireland to spend the rest of her life in a convent.
I don't care. It's not my problem.
She wondered if the BBC could possibly write to her and let her know how the story resolved.
How dare you?
No, but she's like, I love Quatermass, but I'm going to become a nun.
Maybe you shouldn't be a nun then.
It's like God or Quatermass. Yeah, I must have told you about. There's a film called Change of Habit.
No,
where it stars Mary Tyler Moore.
Yeah,
and Elvis. And Mary Tyler Moore is a nun who falls in love with, but she's like a nun on sabbatical.
Okay.
And while she's on sabbatical, she falls in love with Elvis.
Naturally.
Yeah. But then she's like, look, I've had this great romance with Elvis.
Yeah.
But I have to, return to the nunnery, to the convent, and the film literally ends with her going to a church to like reconnect with God. Who does she find in the church? It's Elvis.
What?
And he's like performing in the church, and the film
I become a priest.
Yeah, and the film literally ends with Mary Tyler Moore looking at Elvis, looking at a statue of Jesus, and being like back and forth. I can't choose. Like, and that's how the film ends. It's like, who's she going to pick, Elvis or Jesus?
But he's in the nunnery.
It's like a twist. So you think like that episode of Friends where Ross is like, who do I choose, Rachel or Bonnie?
Yeah.
And then you think he's chosen Rachel, but then Bonnie is in Rachel's room.
Right.
And that's the twist. It's sort of like that, where you think Mary Tyler Moore has gone, I'm picking God, but then when she goes to the church, Elvis is, because Elvis in the film is a GP, a doctor who also sings like Elvis's songs. So he's not famous as Elvis. He's a character. He's a doctor.
He knows all of Elvis's tunes. It looks just like Elvis.
No, but Elvis doesn't exist in the world of change of habit. So he's just a doctor, who also happens to a bit like Carl Kennedy in Neighbours. He's like a doctor who also plays the guitar and sings a bit.
Sexiest man alive.
But all the songs he's written are Elvis's songs. Yeah. So he sings like Rubbernecking. That's the introduction to him. He's like,
I mean, if you're going to sing Rubbernecking to a nun, you're going to win her over, aren't you?
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, this woman had a similar thing where she was like, God or Quatermass.
Yeah. I need to know John Robinson is...
If he got that mark off that guy's face, does Roger Delgado survive?
But what happened?
Well, after some debate as to whether the letter was a journalistic trick to uncover advanced story details, Nigel Neal eventually decided that it was genuine, and he sent her a reply outlining the story's conclusion. So like these days, you would just like send her the final episode, but it was live, so they couldn't. So he sent her like a plot description telling her what happened.
And she didn't spoil it for anyone. She just
she was locked away in the convent. Yeah. So yeah, maybe she told the other nuns, but they couldn't tell anyone either.
Are nuns not allowed to just watch the telly?
I guess not in 1955. I don't know.
They are now.
Yeah, we wouldn't have that problem now.
I've seen Sister Act. They do all sorts.
They sing. Yeah. They dance. So 3 years later, again, came Quatermass and the Pit.
See, this is the thing that I think I'm thinking of. The pit being the thing in the floor.
Oh, yeah, there is something in the floor here.
Thank you.
To be fair.
It was a thing.
Yeah, but there isn't a Quatermass in the... No. Well, actually, he does go underground at some point.
I thought it was Quatermass in the pit.
Oh, like there's a Quatermass in the pit.
So, was there a remake of just this one?
A remake?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, later. We'll get onto it.
Because I feel like this is the famous one.
It is. Yeah, I'd say it's probably the most famous Quatermass adventure. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So I feel like you're back. I feel like you're kind of retroactively trying to make what you said make sense, and I'm not sure it does.
Quatermass and the floor.
The working title. So this was the third and last of the BBC's Quatermass serials and was broadcast on Monday nights at 8 p.m. From the 22nd of December 1958 to the 26th of January 1959.
All in the 50s.
Yeah.
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 The Beatles are still long away.
Yeah, exactly.
Still 4 years away.
Yeah, still 4 years. By the time it ended, still 4 years away from the first episode of Doctor Who.
Wow.
Which was, this year is 60 years ago. So this is all more than 60 years old.
It's the OG, isn't it?
Again, it is the OG. Again, it was transmitted live from Studio 1 of the BBC's Riverside Studios in Hammersmith in London, with, again, all 6 episodes having survived.
Good.
Like the Quatermass Experiment and Quatermass II, it was produced and directed by frequent Nigel Neal collaborator Rudolph Cartier and was allocated a budget of £17,500, larger than that of the previous Quatermass productions. So in Quatermass and the Pit, labourers digging in Knightsbridge, London, uncover an unusual skull and an object resembling an unexploded bomb. Quatermass steps in to investigate when it becomes apparent that the object is actually an alien spacecraft. So Nigel Neal was inspired by the rebuilding of London in the 1950s after after World War II. There were huge pits dug in the process of erecting new structures, with workmen uncovering not just unexploded ordnance from the Blitz, but also ruins from the Roman Empire. And Neal thought, what if they uncovered a spaceship? Neal was also keen to explore issues linked to race and xenophobia, suggesting that certain behaviours in humans might be extraterrestrial. In Origin, a commentary on embedded biases in our society.
Ahead of its time.
Yeah. Once again, Quatermass was played by a different actor. John Robinson was unavailable to reprise the part. I was busy.
It's busy.
Yeah.
Nah, better things to be doing.
Yeah. The role was first offered to the actor Alec Clunes, father of Martin Clunes.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, no, nor did I. And so I was like, oh, Alec Clunes, and I was like, I'll look up his filmography, and then it was like, he's the father of Martin Clunes. Yeah.
Okay.
But when Alec declined, the part went to Andre Morel. Have you been paying attention?
It's his time to shine.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So Morel, who is also known for playing Dr. Watson in the Hammer version of The Hound of the Baskervilles, opposite Peter Cushing.
Yep.
There you go.
As
Sherlock Holmes. He was the first choice to play Quatermass in the Quatermass Experiment, but turned the part down. But he finally accepted the part for Quatermass and the Pit.
Good.
Matthew Rowley was a brave man and friend. Much more.
Is that my boy Quatermass?
There he is,
kind that hope lies. For they have outgrown the marshlands. If another of these things should ever be found, we are armed with knowledge, but we also have knowledge of ourselves and of the ancient destructive urges in us that grow more deadly as our populations increase and approach in size and complexity those of ancient Mars. Every war crisis, witch hunt, race riot, purge, is a reminder and a warning. We are the Martians. If we cannot control the inheritance within us, this will be their second dead planet.
It basically turns out that the human race we're all Martians. So the Martians landed on Earth. The human race is actually Martians, and the Martians were wiped out. They wiped themselves out, and it's sort of like, be careful because look what happened to the Martians. That's going to happen to us because we are Martians.
What do you mean wipe themselves out though?
With war and race riots.
But who are we then?
Well, we're the Martians who landed on Earth, but the Martians on Mars. That's why it's a dead planet, because the Martians wiped themselves out, and so that's how it's quite bold science fiction for the 50s, saying that where did humans come from? Well, we're aliens. We're the Martians. Among the supporting cast of Quatermass and the Pit was Cess Linder, who had played Felix Leiter in the 1964 James Bond film Goldfinger.
Nice.
Quatermass and the Pit was watched by an average audience of 9.6 million viewers, peaking at 11 million for the final episode.
Now, how did they do the ratings back in the 50s?
I think it was that thing where...
Was it accurate?
I think it's that thing where, which was still the case until relatively recently,
it's still pretty
where people would like, what are you watching? And they'd write it down in a little book.
It's the same for radio right now.
And then they would extrapolate.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So they just did this. Yeah.
But what if they've picked like a really bad group?
Yeah.
And they're all like, yeah, I was watching Quatermass in the Pit. And they're like, actually, all the millions of other people weren't. And they're just...
Watching Steptones.
Well, they're all enjoying Wilfred Bramble. So
one way or another.
You're enjoying Wilfred Bramble.
Yeah.
Nigel Kneale was then approached by the producer of the BBC Two science fiction anthology series Out of the Unknown to write a new one-off 75-minute Quatermass story for the programme. But despite the success of Quatermass in the Pit, Kneale decided to retire the character. He later said, I didn't want to go on repeating because Professor Quatermass had already saved the world from ultimate destruction 3 times. That seemed to me to be quite enough.
He's done his due. He doesn't need to keep doing it.
Yeah.
He needs a rest.
He's exhausted.
Yeah.
However, by the early 1970s, Kneale decided to revisit Quatermass. A 4th Quatermass serial was developed at the BBC, but the broadcaster ditched the project due to spiralling costs. Kneale jumped ship to ITV, where his scripts would eventually see the light of day in 1979.
So nothing in the 60s.
No.
And then pretty much nothing in the 70s until right at the end.
Yeah, a break of 20 years. Gap of 20 years between Quatermass in the Pit and the final Quatermass TV serial, which was simply titled Quatermass, and spanned 4-hour-long episodes. It was originally intended to air in the September of 1979, but industrial action at ITV meant the show's launch would be delayed until the 24th of October, which is tomorrow as we record this. Yeah. And is also my birthday. Quatermass was played by Oscar-nominated actor John Mills in the series.
Great.
Which, with a budget of $1.25 million, what the hell happened in 20 years? Where they were like, you can make this for like $4 to $17.5 grand, and it's like, we need $1.25 million. Yeah. It was one of the most expensive series staged by producers Euston at that time. Even so, executive producer Johnny Goodman suggested that the budget for the show's models department was less than James Bond producer Cubby Broccoli would spend on cigars in a week. Again, Kneale was inspired by contemporary events, including the rise of the hippie youth movement of the late 1960s. This series sees large numbers of young people recruited into a cult known as the Planet People, who believe they will be transported to a better life on another planet. The disappearance of Quatermass's granddaughter, Hetty, leads him to investigate a mysterious alien force apparently responsible for spiriting away the Planet People.
Planet People.
Planet People.
Can I talk to them?
Talk to them? You some kind of guru? Okay, you've got 1 minute.
Yes, you can.
Listen to me! Listen to me! I'm on your side! What the?
Can't hear you.
I agree with you! I agree with you! I say what you do about the world. It's poison! And it's sick! And you want to get out of this!
You can tell the leap of budget.
Well, it's been 20 years.
Exactly.
Yeah. Playing a small role in this series, Toya Wilcox. There you go.
Yeah.
Unlike previous outings, which had received positive to mixed reviews, Quatermass was met with an generally unenthusiastic critical response. Nigel Kneale later said he was displeased with the final product, praising its high production values, but suggesting that Mills was miscast in the lead role and, quote, didn't have the authority for Quatermass. A different version of Quatermass, the series, recut to 100 minutes and featuring some new scenes and footage, also received a limited theatrical release and was titled The Quatermass Conclusion. So Quatermass ends with the death of both Quatermass and his granddaughter, who sacrificed themselves, detonating a nuclear bomb to repel the alien force. Blow up the Earth. No more sequels.
Charlton Heston returns.
No more Quatermass. And Nigel Kneale this time was 100% adamant.
I'm done.
That he was done. Again, I'm done. I'm done.
We're Quatermassed out.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Yeah.
He's done his
We have
bidding.
reached critical Quatermass.
I've saved the universe 5 times.
Yeah.
Or at least 4 times.
Four times that we know of.
That's it.
Yeah. He said he was done. He said, I blew him up. I blew him up, and I don't feel inclined to invent a son of Quatermass either.
Okay, well, cool. Well, enjoy it.
So make sure to Patreon, Twitter, Facebook. No, there is more. There is more.
2 Geeks, 2 Beers. Okay.
Podcast at 2geeks2beers.com. No. So, however, in the late 19...
Board game or video game?
No.
SNES?
No, I don't think there's ever been a Quatermass computer game, actually. No, in the late 1990s, Nigel Neal did conceive an idea for a prequel.
He's back.
Quatermass in the Third Reich.
What?
Yeah, I didn't see that coming. Set in Germany in the 1930s, but the BBC turned it down.
All right. Nigel, look, we're fine. It's... You had your shot.
Yeah.
We asked you to come back. You said no. Now you're coming to us with Nazis. All right.
No, Nigel, we're fine. There was, however, to be one more TV outing for Quatermass.
Christmas special?
No, I don't know if you know about this. Yeah. So in 2005, as part of a TV on trial season examining past television trends and productions, BBC4 produced a one-off remake of the Quatermass Experiment, broadcast live like the original serial.
Amazing.
So, yeah. Nigel Neal, who was still about.
How was Nigel Neal at this point?
Pretty old, yeah. He acted as consultant on it. This was the BBC's first live TV drama in over 20 years and suffered only a few errors, some fluffed lines, some on and off camera stumbles and some sound issues. And as the end credits rolled, the cast were also seen celebrating and congratulating, not realising they were still on air. Amazing. Although if you really want to, you can say it's sort of, they've thwarted the monster, so that's why they're all celebrating.
Okay.
Yeah. This version of the Quatermass Experiment starred Jason Fleming as Quatermass.
A bit younger.
Yeah. Alongside a bit younger, a bit sexier.
Yeah.
No offense to Reginald Tate, John Robertson, Andre Morel, John Mills. Alongside a supporting cast that included Mark Gatiss, who he loves a bit of Indira Varma, Adrian Dunbar, and David Tennant.
Well, Quatermass.
That's good. Yours is good.
That was all right.
I'm playing Gordon Briscoe. So it was during rehearsals for the Quatermass Experiment, the Tennant, who played Dr. Gordon Briscoe, was offered the role of the 10th Doctor in Doctor Who. In the live broadcast, Fleming had a bit of fun, Jason Fleming. He changed his first line to David Tennant, which was meant to be "Good to have you back, Gordon," to "Good to have you back, Doctor."
Nice.
As a deliberate reference.
I love the idea that backstage...
Yeah.
They all found out that he was going to be the new Doctor, and everyone was like, "Yeah."
Well, Tennant found out. The rest of them didn't know, but there were rumor was doing around. So Fleming decided to have a bit of fun with him live. Couldn't react.
Okay.
So there you go.
All right, Victor. All right, there's nothing to worry about.
Yeah. All right, Victor.
There's nothing here.
It's good to have you back, Doctor.
So this is live. This is okay.
This blood pressure is almost impossibly low. Pulse, temperature, reflexes, they're all the same.
He was perfectly fit before takeoff.
Yeah, strong as a horse.
Possible effects of acceleration pressure. It was always a thing we had to guess at.
During tests, he took 7 times the force of gravity.
I could watch David Tennant thing, though. Yeah, he's
good, isn't he? Charismatic.
It's not just his face, I'll show you. I mean, obviously I have a pretty accurate knowledge of the constitution of these 3 men after hundreds of examinations during the testing.
Go on.
Well, first of all, I mean, this is the less important, but look at his skin on his wrist now.
It's swollen, coarsened.
That's how it would look under a magnifying glass. Only there's no glass.
Bone structure.
Well, I could be wrong about the length of a limb if there'd been some cartilage shrinkage, but not about the shape of bones. There's a change. I'm convinced of it.
Change.
Victor.
Changing.
All right, Victor.
Go back.
Take it easy. Take it easy.
What changed, Victor? Was it something on the ship that changed?
I thought that was Garth Marenghi then, but I don't think it is.
So the Quatermass Experiment became BBC4's 4th highest rated programme of all time. So another ratings hit for the BBC.
Higher than Top of the Pops repeat from 1978.
May have been surpassed since then, yeah. So that's Quatermass on TV done.
Oh, okay.
But we're not entirely done because the popularity of the original Quatermass Experiment in 1953 led to
radio play.
Not yet. We'll get there. Led to Hammer Film Productions purchasing the adaptation rights, and a big screen remake was released in 1955.
Right, this is where I'm confused. I feel like I've seen the film, bits of the films.
You may well have done
on like That's Movies or whatever that channel is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The Hammer film was titled The Quatermass Experiment, which
with an X.
Yeah, with an X, no E, X, capital X, to emphasize its X certificate status. And in the US was renamed The Creeping Unknown. Cast as the cerebral British scientist Quatermass was American actor Brian Donlevy, who, in his own words, specialized in he-men roles, rough, tough, and realistic. Just what you want.
Nice.
You can't escape it.
Maggie, look!
Nothing can destroy it. It's coming for you from space to wipe all living things from the face of the earth.
A bit of plastic on a rail.
Creeping unknown.
The creeping unknown.
This woman is about to learn a terrible secret. She will never be the same again.
All right, spoilers.
Because this man knows that same secret, he will never speak again. To both of them has come terror in the form of the creeping unknown. 3 men went into outer space. Only one of them came back. Came back a strange, distorted creature, haunted and possessed by something beyond human understanding. What was the terrible secret he could not tell them?
There's a whole new world out there, a wilderness, uncharted. And he's been there and come back. He's got the map.
Yeah, I'm Quatermass, see?
Mind, make Briscoe and find it. I know you can do it.
Quatermass.
I know the strain and tension you've been under, but to stop now when we're so close.
Brian Donlevy. He dared an experiment that shocked a nation.
You've destroyed him.
Brian Donlevy.
There's no room
It's like Brian Dennehy.
in science, Judith.
An experiment that created the creeping unknown.
What's this film called?
The creeping...
Something.
Yeah.
I want to call around the entire area, evacuate all public, get information to check up every movement that's likely to take place inside this radius tonight.
Yes, sir. Warn everyone not to touch anything unusual they may find in the streets.
Just The Creeping Unknown, starring Brian Donlevy.
Starring Brian Donlevy.
My favourite of all the Brians.
So Nigel Neal was not happy with the casting
was he not?
of Quatermass, saying that Donlevy was, quote, on the skids and didn't care what he was doing. He took very little interest in the making of the films or in playing the part. It was a case of take the money and run.
Right.
Or in the case of Mr. Donlevy, waddle. Savage from Nige.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did not like the cut of Brian's jib.
No.
No.
Donlevy was also suffering from alcoholism at the time. It was some weeks into the shoot before director Val Guest became aware that the flask of coffee he always carried on set was laced with brandy. Guest found, however, that Brian was all right, no problem at all once you kept him sober. Despite mixed reviews, this film was a box office hit, and Hammer were keen on a sequel. They pitched an original story to Nigel Neal, which he rejected. This rejected sequel did, however, see the light of day, released in 1956 as X, the Unknown, with Quatermass replaced by a new character, atomic energy scientist Dr. Adam Royston. A proper sequel did eventually materialize, a movie remake of Quatermass II, which feels like the obvious thing to do. Yeah. Again directed by Val Guest and again starring Brian Donlevy.
Brought him back.
Brought back Brian.
All the problems he was causing on set.
Yeah. Making him the only actor to play Quatermass twice on screen.
Wow.
Quatermass II, retitled Enemy from Space in the United States and Canada, was released in 1957 and co-starred Sid James, credited as Sidney James, prior to his fame in Hancock's Half Hour, and the Carry On films.
Nice.
Listen. Sort of whistling. I was right. They're coming down by the hundreds. Get Hall.
Listen. Listen very carefully. If you ever hear a sound like this, run for your life.
Like what?
Guns, I guess, which, you know, is good advice.
Too late, for if you stay, you will lose your soul.
Jesus. You'll lose your soul.
Closer, closer is an enemy from outer space.
Outer enemy from space.
Starring
Brian Donlevy.
Brian Donlevy.
It came, a horrifying terror that threatened mankind, haunting and possessing every human being within range, an indestructible danger beyond all earthly understanding.
Vincent Broadhead is dead. Dead? I watched him die a few hours ago in that plant. His whole body covered with some kind of corrosive poisoning.
You got something on your face.
It poisoned everything it touched. The mind and the body of man was no longer in his control. They ran from this unknown menace, but there was no escape.
We're holding this block. We've got to, at least until the oxygen takes effect.
What's in those domes, mister?
Resistance must cease immediately. Lay down your
Yes,
arms.
what is it? Tell us. Inside those domes are creatures from outside this earth.
Are you mad?
I've seen them. Thousands of tiny creatures that can join together and expand into things 100 feet high.
Yeah. Again, the film defied mixed reviews to become a box office success. However,
People loved it.
It would be 10 years before Hammer released another Quatermass film. Quatermass II was overshadowed by the huge success of Hammer's The Curse of Frankenstein, the first of its wave of gothic horror films, which made it difficult to secure funding. And Curse of Frankenstein was very much the film that kind of made Hammer Hammer. So they were like, right, we're going very much going down this route now.
Tell me that Donlevy is back.
Afraid not. You've seen the last of Brian Donlevy. But in 1967 came another big screen outing for Quatermass, Quatermass and the Pit, a movie version of that. The US title being 5 Million Years to Earth. And it starred Scottish actor Andrew Kerr as Quatermass.
Who were they running from?
I don't know.
What
you tell
have
me.
they seen? Whom do they fear?
Whom do they fear?
There are 5 million answers to these questions.
5 million?
Every one of them is a shocker.
I think this is the one I've seen clips of on telly.
5 million years old spills into our time to make two worlds collide. What is happening here and now can affect the next 5 million years.
It was what I was afraid of. The thing got a huge intake of energy. The very substance of it seemed to be coming alive. And you can't see this world any longer.
They feel it. They see it. The archaeologist who digs back into the past to unearth more horror than the human mind can bear. Quatermass, the scientist, who comes face to face with 5 million years of terror.
Ronnie, it's Barbara. She's the one. Get down here, quick.
She can see into the pit and knows the terrifying truth. He can see into the pit, but he will not believe what he sees.
They were coming. Who? What were? Them. Them.
You saw the creatures.
They were alive. Alive?
You descend into the pit of hell as you share their horror.
Listen, I'm advising you all to leave. There may be grave danger. I tell you, this could be dangerous. Get back! Get back! Wait! Don't panic! Wait! Pull yourselves together!
I think something's like it got a bit more oomph to it when we're just silent. Which what?
Yeah. Well, that film just looked very stressful. It looked like a lot of Quatermass just shouting at people, being like,
"Get back!
Don't do that! Go over there! Stop it!
Stop being a pillock!"
So the part of Quatermass in this film was again offered to Andre Morel, who
was he by now?
Pretty old.
Yeah. 20 years have passed, at least.
So he had played Quatermass in the TV version
in the late 50s.
of Quatermass in the pit. Yeah, probably about 8 years earlier. But he was not interested because he felt like he'd done it.
Yeah, he saved the world far to me.
Andrew Kerr, who did play the part, found the shoot an unhappy experience, describing it as sheer hell.
Reminds me of when I interviewed Robson Green.
Was that sheer hell?
No, I asked him about, obviously Robson and Graham, the era of dominating the charts in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
And he called it his own personal 9/11.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't, like, he could have just said it was awful. That's very specific.
I was like, can I lead that with the headline? I don't think I did. But...
Can I quote you on that? All right. Despite the experience he had on the film, Andrew Kerr would play Quatermass again 30 years later.
Wow.
His final performance before his death the following year, making him the only actor other than Brian Donlevy to play the role more than once.
So it comes back.
This was in 1996 radio series, The Quatermass Memoirs.
A radio play?
Which was part documentary.
Documentary?
Yeah, part documentary exploring the character's origins. And so it had interviews with Nigel Neal, and part drama with scripted scenes seeing Quatermass visited in retreat in Scotland by a reporter eager to write his life story.
Nice.
There have also been Quatermass adventures in print, written by Nigel Neal, including a serialized adaptation of Quatermass II, which ran in the Daily Express from the 5th to the 20th of December 1955.
Imagine them doing that now.
Yeah.
Like Daily Star just running extracts of Quatermass 7.
Good time. Better times. There was also a novelization of the 1979 Quatermass serial, which contained many additional scenes and extra background detail not included in the TV version. And I got that. I picked it up for like 50p, I think, in a secondhand, like a charity shop.
Amazing.
Great. Yeah. There have also been live theatrical productions, including most recently a live script reading of the Quatermass Experiment performed in September 2023 to mark the serial's 70th anniversary, performed at Alexandra Palace in London, close to where the original TV version was broadcast. And Mark Gatiss, he's back, he played Quatermass.
Again, it's similar to when we did the War of the Worlds episode.
Yeah.
You were amazed that they were still still going strong.
Yeah.
It's still... Yeah.
And I went to see that, and it was great. It was long because they did the whole thing, but it was very, very good, very atmospheric. As one of the earliest examples of British television science fiction, the legacy of Quatermass is huge, shaping everything from Alien to the X-Files. Nigel Neal was actually invited to write for the X-Files, but declined the offer.
Love that.
Not sure why.
Nah.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
I've done Quatermass. Don't need to do it.
I've done the best.
Yeah.
Don't need the rest. Its impact in particular can be seen on British TV sci-fi like Sapphire and Steel. Check out episode 120 of Two Geeks, Two Beers, and R.I.P. David McCallum.
Yeah.
And Doctor Who. A number of Doctor Who stories bear similarities to the Quatermass serials. In particular, when John Pertwee's third Doctor was exiled to Earth, producer Derek Sherwin explained he wanted to move the show away from wobbly jellies in outer space and ape the style of Quatermass and the Pit. 1988 Doctor Who story Remembrance of the Daleks also features a reference to a Bernard who works at the British Rocket Group, suggesting Quatermass could exist in the Doctor Who universe, and the character was actually intended to appear in the 2013 episode Hyde, but it was not possible to gain copyright clearance, and instead Dougray Scott plays the Quatermass-esque Professor Alec Palmer, so it's a Quatermass-type character. Despite its influence on Doctor Who and the affection that many who worked on Doctor Who obviously had for the Quatermass serials, the feeling was not mutual. Nigel Neal turned down the chance to write for Doctor Who and openly voiced his dislike of the series, saying, "It sounded a terrible idea, and I still think it was."
Wow.
So there you go.
It's just had no time for it.
No time, ironically.
Yeah.
No time for the Time Lord.
Okay.
So, and that's it. We've covered off Quatermass.
Wow.
So yeah, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean,
see why your dad digged it?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those. It just seems really. It's like proper.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not like...
Yeah. How do you feel about it, given that it doesn't have as much of a legacy as it deserves, but it deserves a legacy.
But I feel like because of that, it still has this shine to it
that
hasn't been tainted by modern remakes and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's never been a true, opinion may differ on Brian Donlevy, but there's never been like a really bad Quatermass.
No, and I feel like because a lot of them are done live and with relatively small budgets and that kind of thing, it has this kind of realism quality to it. And the performances seem like they had to be good because they fucking had to be.
Fucking had to be.
It's tough. I don't know which ones I should watch or if I should just watch all of them.
Yeah. Well, you can't watch all of them. No. That's the thing. I would, if you're gonna, I would say watch, because Quatermass Experiment doesn't exist, or at least only the 2 episodes exist. Quatermass II, maybe not the best. I would say watch Quatermass in the Pit, the original TV version, if you want to sample it. But I'm glad. I never know with these things if you're just going to be like dismissive, be like, this is old. It's not for me. It looks crap.
It's
but
proper.
no.
I feel like it is crying out for some kind of new version of some kind.
Well, there have been like as with all these things, efforts over the years to make a new film or a new series, and it just hasn't happened.
BBC have done remakes of all sorts in the last few years. Even Pole Dart was a great remake of it and did it properly. It was really good. You can imagine them like going, right, come on, let's do a proper 6-part proper series. Who would you cast? So, because that's the thing with Quatermass.
Yeah,
is he meant to be a bit older? Is he meant to be
like I'd say like middle-aged. Okay. Yeah, he needs a bit of gravitas.
Brian Cox, is he a bit too old?
He's a bit too old, maybe.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see who they'd go for.
Unless you mean the scientist, because he's
he'd be good.
He's like, the aliens,
Quatermass,
the aliens are coming. Yeah, no. Yeah. I mean, he'd have the maybe not the acting chops.
Anthony Head.
Yeah,
he'd be good.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
Give him a beard.
Yeah. I feel like Quatermass does need a bit of facial hair. I don't know why.
But yeah, it's crying out for some kind of update.
Yeah.
With a big budget, do it properly.
Yeah. Well, that is it. Thanks for joining us, as ever. You can find more cult TV retrospectives at twogeeks2beers.com, from The Prisoner and Quantum Leap to Goodnight Sweetheart and Games Master, plus more outings covering off classic films and video games.
You can also follow us on all the socials at Two Geeks Cast on Facebook, Instagram, and X, the Musk Experiment. We're also on YouTube and TikTok, where you'll find clips from episodes old and new, as well as full-length episodes. And please also rate and review the podcast via your podcast outlet of choice, where you can also subscribe.
You can also become a Two Geeks supporter on Patreon at patreon.com/2geekscast. You can sponsor the podcast, and in return, you can get exclusive Patreon-only minisodes, outtakes, personalized thank you videos, merch, and much more. You can also email us, podcast@twogeeks2beers.com, with any thoughts, feedback, and suggestions for future episodes. So thanks for joining us. Until next time, keep your eyes on the skies and your ears on our podcast.
Well said.
Over and out. So we talked a lot about the Quatermass, a lot of them filmed, broadcast live. Very impressive. Is it though? Because you think about it, you made a big deal of it, but broadcast as live, one take, minimal editing. All I'll say is try doing that after 2 beers and a whiskey chaser. We've done it every month for 8 years, and only one of our episodes ever went missing.
Only one.
So
Quatermass.
Yeah.
Quater twass. Yeah, you heard.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff we don't cut out because we can't be bothered.
Yeah.
Doesn't even mean anything.
Nah.
But no. Fuck your ideas up, Nigel.